healthcare issues. I've been laid off since April. After 20 years of working in aerospace, our work was sent to Mexico. Mm-hmm. My ex-husband is a CPA. My best friend is a CPA with a master's in taxation. They're both unemployed. Just about everybody I know is either unemployed.
Wow. And what salary range were you folks in, June?
I made between $75,000 and $80,000 a year. My ex-husband made $218,000 a year. I don't know what Elaine made, but they bring with them 30 years experience, and they're...
Well, you see, that's why you and your husband should have gotten a job in the government, because those jobs are never lost. Think of what you would be making if you went to work for the state of California in such a... I love when you read that they had to increase their salaries to keep them from going for a job in the private sector. Don't you love reading that? When there are no jobs. The academics used to use that for years, that we must raise their salaries at the universities in order to make sure they don't take a job in the private sector. How many professors do you think would be hired by the private sector if 50% of them were fired?
Probably none of them.
None of them. They're not necessary. Thank you for calling the show. Look, push is coming to shove. You heard that they cut back COLA payments on Social Security, so already the seniors went nuts. Oh, I guess they can't go gambling to Atlantic City. No COLA payments. So the cup and the cigarette will be... They can't make one less trip to an Indian casino? What are you talking about? One less trip to an Indian casino, one less trip to Las Vegas, one less trip to Atlantic City. That's all. They're already screaming they're starving to death. They're all starving to death because they cut a COLA payment. And the next big thing are the pensions, the insupportable pensions. And I'm sorry, I'm going to step on a lot of toes now. And many of you are my supporters, but I got to tell you, the pensions that you have acquired are unsupportable. They're unsustainable. And there's going to have to be a cutback to the extent of probably 50% of pensions are going to have to be cut in half by 50%. That's what's going to have to happen in this country in order for the country to survive. That starts from the top down. That starts with the senators. That starts with the Congress. Cut their pensions by 50% and work your way down. I'll be right back.
Savage.
Your money, your life. How to make sense of it all. I'm Rob Black. Join me weekday mornings at 10 on Talk 910 KNEW.
Okay, here we are. Cogito ergo sum. Je pense donc je suis. I learned that in college. Remember Descartes? We had to read it in French. Je pense donc je suis, meaning I think, therefore I am. And this goes back to people wondering if they exist. If you wonder whether or not you exist, and some people drift in and out of that concept, am I real? Am I real? What's real? Well, he said back in the 1600s when he wrote this, that if someone is wondering whether or not they exist, that is in and of itself proof that they do exist, because there's an I who is doing the thinking. I remember when I first read that in college, how great it was. Now, I've changed that from I think, therefore I am to I speak, therefore I am. And you could put that down in the record books, not from je pense donc je suis, but I speak, therefore I am. That's my discourse on method in the year 2009. And if you want to talk about cogito ergo sum with somebody else, try that on the Wallbanger. I think he'd be able to elucidate that with some greater deliberance than I could, or the golfer may know a little bit more French or Latin than I do, or even the hemorrhoid could. They could have picked it up along the way. I just don't know. Ac prondi hoc cognito ego cogito ergo sum. And I'm not trying to sound like a big shot because I don't speak Latin. I only speak botanical Latin. But the fact of the matter is, if you've ever had that one of those moments of doubt of whether you exist, just by questioning whether you exist or not means you exist. But for me, of course, that's not good enough. If I'm on the microphone, I speak, therefore I am. In other words, I exist when I speak, which is why I love talk radio. And I guess why I'll never leave it. So God gives me the strength to do this, I'll do it. As difficult as it is these days, and it's been very difficult these days, since May 5th, I've had some of the most difficult days of my life. And I got to tell you today, I'm learning how to deal with this. problem of David and Goliath. It isn't easy being David with Goliath clumping around. Today I was on my bicycle, as I usually am most days. So I don't know what it was. I was pushing my bicycle across a crosswalk, and a truck went by. A guy stopped, and he let me pass. I usually said thank you. I said thank you with a wave. And he yelled out, "Mike, I love your show. Michael, I love your show. I'm with you on the England thing." And you know what? It was so it gave me so much enthusiasm to realize that there are people out there who really do listen to the show, who really do hear what's going on in the world around them, who really do know that an injustice has been done to an innocent man, and they are on my side. So don't think it doesn't matter. Your mere thinking about me helps. And in about a week or two, when Labor Day is over, I'm going to actually ask you to help me through a letter-writing campaign and an email campaign. We're going to e-blast Congress. We're going to try and get the few honest men and women left in Congress to demand that the British government take my name off the list and do the right thing. And you're going to have a big role in that. Remember, you stopped the Dubai Ports deal. You stopped the illegal aliens with the McCain-Kennedy bill to grant amnesty to 30 million illegal aliens. You did that. You do have the power to control your country. Don't be so defeated by Obama and his minions in the press to think that you've lost control of the country. If anything, you've actually seen that you have more power than you did under Bush. If you could see what effect the town halls have had already on derailing, the town hall meetings derailed the plan for socialized medicine that the Democrats wanted to impose upon you. The town hall meetings have driven Obama's ratings into the basement, and they're going lower every day. In fact, my belief is that after the polls are taken, after the release of the Lockerbie terrorist and Obama's, I would say, tepid, meek, anemic response to it, I think his poll numbers will drop another 4 to 5 points in this week. By mere fact that he continued to go away on vacation, that he did not take credit for the corruption of Charles Schumer's Cash for Clunkers program. $2 billion burned up. Where'd the money go? Who got that money? Why did Schumer want another $2 billion? Who was investigating Schumer? Was it the CIA? Is that why suddenly they released the ACLU on the CIA? You don't see any connections there. I do. I see tremendous political connections because the ACLU has been dying to do this for a couple of months now, but they were held back by the Obamaites. Why suddenly, when Obama went to Martha's Vineyard, was the radical ACLU unleashed on the CIA? What was the CIA about to release on Obama or on Schumer or on the ACLU itself, if anything? We don't know. And the reason we don't know is we don't have a free press anymore. If we still had a vigorous investigative press, if we still had a great cadre of investigative reporters who truly were independent, I think these questions would be answered. But we don't. Unfortunately, we don't. By the way, one of the greatest contributors to Pelosi is, again, the Sandler team. They're monster contributors to Nancy Pelosi. John in Florida, welcome to the Savage Nation.
Mike, how are you? My comment relates to you were talking about logical thinking. And basically, you were talking about the CIA and who unleashed the ACLU on the CIA. Well, right. Several months back, Nancy Pelosi was called to the carpet about waterboarding, how she said she was never at the meeting when they
That's correct.
Waterboarding.
That is right. She made herself the number one enemy of the CIA. It was the CIA versus Pelosi. So you think she pulled the trigger?
Revenge is best served cold. So she disappeared to China shortly thereafter, went on a world tour, and then all of a sudden she comes back and flies under the radar, and now the CIA is under
right. No, she's a very, very, very powerful woman, perhaps the most powerful woman in the United States of America, and there's no reason to believe that you're wrong. So you have to ask yourself, what did the CIA have on Pelosi that she hates them so much? I mean, it's one thing to be a radical left-wing politician. It's another thing to go after the very defense cells of a nation. Why would she go after the white blood cells of America? Would anyone listening to this show tell me that the vermin in the ACLU are our best defenders? That you would trust the country to these radical lawyers, these perverts, and these drug addicts? 1-800-449-8255, michaelsavage.com. Please visit the website. Visit me on Facebook. Whatever the address is, it's on my website. I speak, therefore I am, every day, 3 hours a day, and That's what it is. That's what it's all about. Any topic comes up, it comes up out of the blue sometimes. Yes, I do research. Yes, I have a staff of 3, 4, 5 people pulling stories. Yes, there are stories I think that are in the news that I like to talk about. But in the midst of it, I will bring things up that are not in the news, such as I did today. I bring new elements to it, such as why today. You hear that the media immediately jumps and says that they put a loaded gun to the terrorist's head. Did they shoot him? No. That they threatened the terrorist family. So what? So what do you mean they threatened the family? These are people who either were involved with or would actually kill your family. I give a rat's behind whether or not the brave men who had the guts to actually go into an interrogation room with them threatened their family and didn't actually hurt their family. Are you kidding me? When we're dealing with the most horrendous people on the planet? I don't think you people live in the real world who would take the side of the ACLU. I think you live in a dreamland. I think that you're either drug addicted or you were raised by very, very sick red diaper doper baby